Hey, what's going on, you guys? Hey, welcome back to another episode with I Track. Is it me or is the world getting stranger by the day? We're going to take a look at a few clips that are going to give us an idea of where this world is exactly headed. But before we do any of that, don't forget to smash that like button for me, smash that subscribe button if you're not a part of the I Track fam, and hit the hype button. Let's go ahead and get into it.
This is the closest thing our planet has to an alien, and it's nuts. It's called Xenoturbella, a sea creature that is unlike anything else on Earth. Here's what I mean. First of all, it looks like a worm, but it's not a worm. In fact, according to science, it shouldn't even be alive. Why? Well, because it has no respiratory system for breathing, no circulatory system for blood flow, and no excretory system for removing waste. But it gets even crazier than that. Xenoturbella has no organs. None. It has one thing that's kind of like a sensory receptor, but that's it. It has no reproductive organs. So how does it reproduce? Well, reproductive cells just kind of come out of its body. Then they fertilize each other in the water and become babies with no mouths who apparently don't eat. So what does Xenoturbella have? A hole. One hole in its stomach, if you can call it that, where food goes in and waste comes out. They were discovered off the coast of Sweden, but I think they're from outer space. And you can follow me for more interesting videos.
That definitely qualifies as an alien sea creature, right under octopus. Very, very strange.
The president of Mexico has evacuated the capital city as the cartels close in on taking over the country. This is President Claudia Sheinbaum, who has been evacuated as the cartel has taken over around half of Mexico. This is all because 2 days ago, leader El Mencho was taken out by the army. And then the cartel showed up in uniforms like this, being more prepared and equipped than the actual army of Mexico. That's then why the National Guard had to deploy thousands of Mexican troops to try to take back cities, as the cartel was burning and placing roadblocks at the entrances of all cities, and as well as turning them to absolute war zones. In this video by the coast, you see a Mexican chopper after conducting airstrikes. The cartel also does possess anti-aircraft missiles. The Mexican president is also considering declaring war on the cartels, which would escalate this into a full-scale civil war, activating up to 4 million Mexican army reservists. But the cartel is already vowing to fight back. Comment below your thoughts on this, who's gonna win, and make sure to follow me for the newest update.
It almost appears as if Mexico's president has no choice but to fight back. I mean, if you're paying attention, it doesn't appear that there's any kind of real government in Mexico at this time, so it's not looking good.
Do you see that right there? Do you see that airship right there? Do you see that flying ship right there? That's how they were traveling around. They weren't out with the little railroads and steam engines and everything else that they told you. Right there. That is the most important picture you will ever see of the old world. Airships. They have been in the air for a long period of time. The airships, the blimps, all of those things. This is why they destroyed all of that. This is why they had the Hindenburg incident. This is why they got rid of that technology. Because people have been in the air since the 1800s and the 1700s. You have been sold a bill of lies on that the Wright brothers created the first airplane who weren't even paying attention. They weren't even paying attention when the first airplane was flying because people were already in the air. Right there. That is the old world. So flying around in airships, okay? Flying around in airships and building buildings like this, the technology was already here. That's what it was. It connects to helium, it connects to radium, it connects to uranium, it connects to all those things. And all of the world's fairs were all resets. Throughout America and throughout the world, they reset each city and they destroyed the technology to sell it back to you later on in life.
A deep dive into Tartaria incoming.
The following video is giving the vibes of War of the Worlds. Literally. This video is from a woman named Karina. She was on vacation in Oslo around January 10th. Just before midnight, these pillars of lights shot down from the sky. No, this wasn't stadium lights. No, this is not reflection from the ground. This is something else. You need to take a look at it, watch it, and tell me what you think. Make sure to comment.
What in the world? Can you see it anywhere else? So just over there and then over here. I've seen this movie once.
Evangelion.
This is the second coming.
The rapture.
It's the rapture. What the heck? Oh my gosh. What do you think? It's gonna be like crystals of snow, or crystals from the freeze. It's negative 19.
Oh, there's that flickering one again.
Where? Yeah, it's ambulance. Oh, that's so weird. Oh my gosh. Oh, there's another one. Oh my gosh. Somebody getting pulled over and we're just seeing the reflection.
Morbid Facts, Part 910. Takeru Kobayashi, the competitive eater who helped popularize modern eating contests, said he stepped away from competition after years of extreme training left him disconnected from normal hunger. In recent interviews, he's explained that he rarely feels hunger and sometimes even forgets to eat, saying he envies people whose bodies still send basic appetite signals. Kobayashi suggested that constantly forcing himself beyond fullness may have dulled the body's natural warning system, with doctors noting that long-term competitive eating can distort hunger cues and place lasting stress on the body's digestive system.
Before spiral of white light. Some said it had a blue tail. Norwegian newspapers have been bombarded with people who claim to have seen it. Question is, of course, what was it? Now, some of the guesses range from a Russian missile, which Russia is denying, by the way, to a comet or some other type of object.
Massive sinkholes are a warning sign that we've entered the era of global water bankruptcy, and there are fears that the system might collapse entirely. This not so cheerful news comes from a new assessment from the UN that I've been reporting on. It says that we're taking out way more fresh water from rivers and lakes than nature is able to put back in. The result, a shopping list of disasters across the planet. Half of the world's largest cities are now experiencing high levels of water stress. Rivers are drying up even before they reach the sea. Lakes are shrinking. We're even seeing some cities literally sinking because so much water is being taken out of the aquifers underneath them. If you want a clear example of how bad things can get, look no further than Iran. Here's what Lake Urmia in the northwest of the country looked like in 1998. And here it is, 25 years later. It was once the Middle East's largest lake. Now it's virtually disappeared due to overuse of water by farmers, excessive dam building, and droughts driven by the climate crisis, with massive consequences for the people who live there. And that's only the beginning. Iran's capital, Tehran, only got around 1 millimetre of rain last year, pushing it to the brink of a day zero disaster, which is where a city runs out of water completely. And some experts say these water shortages are one of the factors behind the recent mass protests in that country. But this is just one example of something that's happening all over the world. Now, the report says the reasons behind this water bankruptcy are things like farming, which sucks up 70% of the fresh water used by people, growing cities, massive destruction of wetlands, and simply poor management, all of which are worsened by the climate crisis. And people are worried that the rise of things like thirsty AI data centres will only make it worse. I spoke to the expert who led the report, and the big point he wanted to get over to me was that the global overuse of water and pollution needs to end urgently if we don't want to see society starting to break down. It is a grim picture. He told me he sees a bit of a surprise silver lining too. He said all of this is a chance to bring countries together to take action in an increasingly fragmented world. Because if we can't all agree that us humans need water for life, what can we agree on?
Scientists at Stanford just created a single nasal spray vaccine that protects against virtually every single virus all at one time. and it just worked with every single one that they tested. So these Stanford researchers just published a study that's being called a radical departure from 200 years of vaccines. Okay. They just officially created a nasal spray that doesn't just target any specific virus, it supercharges your immune system to fight all of them at one time. And this is where it gets insane because they just tested it in mice against COVID, other coronaviruses, bacterial pneumonia, hospital infections, and even allergies. This single nasal spray just worked against every single one, all at the same time. They're saying that virus levels actually dropped by up to 1,000-fold and the protection lasted for months from just a couple doses. Dude, the lead researcher on this entire thing said that nobody thought this was even possible and they started the project because it sounded outrageous, but they just did it. If the human trials work on this, just one nasal spray that you would take every single fall could replace every single flu shot, every single COVID booster, and every single cold that you've ever had.
I would need a complete chemical list, and even if I had that, still a little bit skeptical. Drop it in the comments, let me know if you'd be down for something like that.
I will never, ever, ever let my little girl wear polyester again. And when you see why, you won't let your family wear it either. Most people think polyester is just fabric. It's not. It's literally plastic. Here's how it's made. They start with crude oil or discard plastic bottles. They break it down, they melt it at extremely high heat, and they turn it into this thick, sticky liquid. That liquid gets pushed through holes called spinnerets, and it forms these long plastic threads. Those threads are stretched, cooled, and twisted into yarn. Then they add synthetic dyes and chemical treatments for color, softness, stretch, and quote-unquote performance. By the end, you have fabric made entirely of plastic with chemical coatings layered on top. And here's the problem. When you wear it, those plastic fibers shed. Microplastics and nanoplastics break off and absorb into the skin, and if you're sweating, even more. They carry hormone-disrupting chemicals, phthalates, BPA, and antimony. Your body absorbs them. They accumulate in your organs, your bloodstream, and your brain. And ladies, those polyester sports bras you're wearing during hot yoga or runs, they could be giving you the big C with a side of hormone disruption. Comment below what percentage of plastics that you're wearing. Let me know. I'd be curious.
I had no clue polyester was that dangerous. Like, you would hear things about how fabric affect people in different ways, but there's not too many people doing that much research. That was pretty detailed, so now you know.
This is the coolest thing you'll see on the internet today. A Finnish origami artist has gone viral for creating the most complicated origami on the planet. 50 hours just to turn a piece of paper into a highly detailed masterpiece. There's no cutting, no tearing, and no glue. Working only with large sheets of rice paper, and he uses water to help shape the paper during complex folds. The patience and planning involved is absolutely remarkable, and the designs he comes out with are really cool, focusing mainly on samurai warriors. I didn't even realize origami could be done to this level. It's absolutely mind-blowing. What an absolute legend.
How does a college dropout become the face of the global AI revolution? Sam Altman's journey began at just 8, coding in his childhood home. By his early 20s, he dropped out of Stanford to launch Looped, a location-sharing startup that sold for millions, fueling his next moves. Altman joined Y Combinator, quickly rising to president and helping launch giants like Airbnb, DoorDash, and Reddit. With his own fund, he invested early in companies like Stripe and Instacart, building a tech empire behind the scenes. But his biggest leap came in 2015, co-founding OpenAI to ensure artificial intelligence benefits humanity. As CEO, he led the launch of ChatGPT, which exploded into the mainstream and redefined what A-I could do. Even a dramatic boardroom ousting couldn't stop him. After massive employee and investor support, Altman returned stronger, reshaping OpenAI's leadership. Strategic timing, bold investments, and global partnerships made Sam Altman a central architect of today's AI race, one of the most important tech figures of our generation. Explore the future of AI innovation.
Or anybody's talking about the witch stuff, all the rest of the stuff, here we are saying this is what drives them, this is what empowers them. Here's the clip.
I know nothing about the Bohemian Grove with Bill. I know about once a month Hillary would go out to Los Angeles. And she did it so regular that it became a bit of an issue trying to, why is she always going? Bill told me that she was going out there, she and a group of women, and she would be a part of a witch's church. And, man, when Bill told me that, you could have hit me with a baseball bat. I tried to point out to him, you realize what had happened if that got out? Of course, my job is to make sure it didn't get out. Now, I don't know today if Hillary still partakes in the witch ritual. I don't know that I even know what the ritual was. But for the better part of many years, Hillary would go quite often, whether it was regularly once a month or maybe once every couple of months. She would go out on a weekend simply to be a part of it.
And we can't skip over any of that. And she was running for president? That's pretty pertinent information.
Mangione will not face the death penalty in his trial for the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. A New York judge ordered the court to dismiss 2 of the 4 federal counts Mangione faced that carry a possible death penalty sentence. The judge also allowed federal prosecutors to use evidence seized from a backpack that Mangione was carrying when he was arrested in December 2024. It contained a 3D printed gun, ammunition, and fake IDs, among other things. Defense attorneys had argued the initial search of the bag violated his rights. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
When you look at the Vatican, they have a lot of Luciferian shit. Look at the resurrection. Look at the sculpture of the resurrection, and you tell me if that's Jesus. Look up this isn't the Vatican Cathedral.
Okay.
Does not look like Jesus.
Eddie,
this is their main
demons.
church. That's supposed to be Jesus right there. This is supposed. It looks like a Slayer album cover.
Mount Everest is not the world's tallest mountain. I think it's been cheating. So here are the 3 tallest contenders, and by the end, you vote on which you think is the real winner. Mount Everest has been claiming the title because its peak is nearly 9,000 meters above average sea level. But 2/3 of its height is because of the height of the stuff it's been standing on. And if you're allowed to say that, then why not just say that the tallest mountain is the one that sticks out the farthest from the center of the Earth? That is not Everest, it's Chimborazo. Chimborazo is way lower than Everest compared to sea level, but Earth isn't a perfect sphere. We bulge out at the equator because of our spin, which means that Chimborazo is the farthest peak from Earth's center by far. But what if you said they're both cheating? You can't use a continent and you can't use Earth's bulge. We want to know feet to head, base to peak. That's real height. Then you'd have to see Mauna Kea. It's way shorter compared to sea level, but this mountain starts deep on the ocean floor. From there, base to peak, this is the tallest mountain on Earth. But who really says where a mountain starts? So now, follow along and tell me in the comments which is your winner.
Scientists have discovered a way to 3D print human liver tissue and a breakthrough that could save lives. This science comes from Carnegie Mellon University, where they are layer by layer 3D printing human liver tissue inside of hydrogel. And this is very important because, as the article points out, every year tens of thousands of Americans receive organ transplants, yet demand always outstrips supply. This team at Carnegie Mellon have come up with what they call the Liver Immunocompetent Volumetric Engineering, or LIVE project, that aims to create living liver tissue that can temporarily take over core functions, which could give a failing organ enough time to regenerate. And at the center of that is their work on the freeform reversible embedding of suspended hydrogels, or FRESH, in which they literally print soft biological materials such as collagen and living cells into finely detailed 3-dimensional scaffolds that can mimic human structures, just like this one right here that has a tiny bit of liver in it. I think this is really clever, and I also think it's really clever that it'll essentially result in a little patch that you can slap on and buy you 2 to 4 weeks of organ function.
I think as long as they start creating things like that are going to save human lives, people will definitely look past the fact that it was man-made.
Reports are flooding in from across London of what witnesses are describing as a humanoid robot walking freely among the public. The figure, known only as Joy, is believed to be linked to tech company Joyous. Multiple sightings have been confirmed in central London, with bystanders claiming the robot appeared remarkably lifelike, some saying they didn't realise it wasn't human until it spoke. Joyous has yet to release an official statement. More on this as it develops.
information in the files that they have technology that can take the soul from one person and put it inside another person. Well, that's kind of accurate and it's kind of not accurate. What they do is they force the current soul out of the body in one way or another. And then based on the DNA and based on the blood, the soul will form again. And for the soul to fully transfer from one body to the next, the first body has to be disposed of entirely.
You see night vision that they're showing. You see some satellites moving across the nighttime sky. They're trying to show you the difference between all these different things that can be seen with night vision. You see an aircraft, an airplane moving across the sky. So they're showing you what all these things look like in night vision. And then you see the object that they really want to point your eyes to. That's not a bird, not a satellite, not an airplane, moving in a straight line until it changes direction suddenly at a 90-degree angle as they continue to film it flying across the sky. Now, it looks like they're filming this through a night vision scope of some kind, which is really interesting. So, again, flock of birds there, okay? A couple of satellites here. You can see how the satellites move and how they look. And then you have a commercial aircraft here. And then let's replay the object that they're filming that has a sudden change of direction. You can see it looks different than all the other objects, and it's also moving much, much, much faster than all the other objects that they've shown. And it's not blinking. But the really crazy and compelling part is the fact that it makes a sudden 90-degree turn. That is not something that any of our aircrafts can do that we know of. So that makes that clip very, very compelling. But I want to hear from you in the comments down below. Do you think that they caught an actual UFO flying in the nighttime sky with night vision that makes a 90-degree turn? Or is it as simple as explaining it away as a bat or some other explanation? Let me know what you think in the comments down below.
Did you know that the moment a celebrity steps out of line, they either kill the character or replace the consciousness? Then a new consciousness takes over their body, and it's one of the demons controlling it. That's why every celebrity looks different from just a few years before. You can see a completely new energy inside them, something else pulling the strings, and that's why you see those soulless eyes on their faces. So many of them don't have a soul in their eyes anymore. I'm going to show you a few photos of the new versions of celebrities who literally have no soul left in their gaze. The one people have been talking about the most these past months is Bonnie Blue. She's not a celebrity, fine, but she has the same eyes. Look how empty they look. There's a demon in there, and nothing will ever convince us otherwise. When you know this woman let 400 men have unprotected intercourse with her in a single day, you understand why she's transforming like that. But the worst is with the real celebrities. Miley Cyrus here still has her soul, and here she doesn't anymore. You see it on another photo too. No soul here, and here it's back. You can clearly see in the eyes when it's empty. There's also Bradley Cooper. Look at his eyes in the two photos. Simon Cowell too. The before and after is genuinely frightening. One of the most shocking ones is Meghan Trainor. Nobody understands what's happening with her, but that's not the real one, especially since she started hanging out with the Kardashian-Jenner family. And I already made a video about the 70th birthday of Kris Jenner, but she's the one who shocks everyone. I really think we had never seen anything like that before.
He didn't die on stage, but something definitely got passed on that night. His last show was really emotional. Fans were literally calling it his funeral. But if you look a little closer, it kind of seemed like a ritual where he passed the torch on to Youngblood. Now, I get people's interests change and interests evolve, and artists change and evolve, but fans that used to hate him now love him. They're even going around and saying he's the next Ozzy, which inspired this fan theory. This is just a combination of a bunch of facts. This is just a fan theory. I am not saying it's true. This is just for fun. In 2022, Youngblood drops The Funeral. Ozzy appears and gives him this gold cross from his neck. Right before Sabbath's final show, Youngblood gives it back to him, and it's now covered in diamonds. And fans think that this is symbolic, like Ozzy offered protection and Youngblood gives it back transformed. Almost like he's saying, I'm ready. At the final show, Youngblood sings Changes. It's incredible, and the song itself is about like grief and evolution. He nails this. And some say that it doesn't feel like a performance, but it rather feels like a ceremony. Backstage, Ozzy tells him, go conquer America first. And that's not casual, it's a mission. It's like a king blessing his heir. You can even see during this part that Youngblood is on his knees, bowing to him. And yes, he is a king of music, but also maybe this is a little deeper. People noticed Youngblood looks like a young Ozzy and an early Kelly. And at certain points, Kelly and Sharon have literally said it. It's not like vibes. It's almost like they're checking if this transfer worked. In the funeral video, Ozzy touches Youngblood's forehead, and right where his third eye is in his forehead. And in occult symbolism, that is a spiritual trade-off. Legacy, power, energy. The Osbournes don't hype anyone up like this. But with Youngblood, it's socials, interviews, shows, they are loud. It feels like more than support. Maybe they have chosen him. Do you think there was a spiritual transfer? Do you think there was a ritual that worked? I'm over here for me to read the victim of a serial killer's diary.
With the Cybercab coming out, how much money can you actually make owning a Cybercab? People have done some analysis now. Now that we know the Cybercab is officially 100% coming, we also know that the price of it is going to be under $30,000. And so now the math starts to come in and like, can you buy one? Can you throw it on the Robotaxi network? And can it make money for you or even ROI super quickly? Elon said this, quote, Tesla owners will be able to add their cars to the Robotaxi network and we collect 25% of the revenue, which I feel like that's okay, right? I mean, I don't know how much Uber takes, but I do know like how much Turo takes, and it's about that same as well. But leave it to CERN. He did an analysis here, or they did an analysis. If you purchase a Cybertruck or a Cybercab, not a Cybertruck, how much money can you actually make? And the TLDR of this, after doing like extensive like trip analysis, like using electricity and Robotaxi on time or whichever, the Cybercab, if Tesla keeps 35% of the revenue generated, then the annual revenue from one individual owned Cybercab ranges from $32,000 to $70,000 per year.
And it begins. And the next thing to go are the Uber Eats drivers. I'm already seeing robots on the street right now delivering food.
Today, FedEx sued the U.S. government seeking a full refund of all tariffs it paid under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which the Supreme Court recently ruled were illegal. FedEx said that when the tariffs were in effect, it imported goods from countries subject to the duties, which it paid and suffered injury as a result.
An invisible sculpture for $18,000. Italian artist Salvatore Garau made headlines in 2021 with Io Sono, an artwork you can't see. It sold at auction for 15,000 euros, around $18,000, and the buyer got a certificate of authenticity and instructions on how to display it. But Garau insists it's not nothing. The sculpture represents a vacuum, a space filled with energy and imagination. To display it, you need a 5 by 5 foot area free from clutter. Garau says the value is in the idea saying even nothing has weight. This artwork isn't about what you see, it's about what you imagine. Some say it's genius, others call it absurd. But either way, Garau's art has everyone talking. Would you pay $18,000 for an idea?
No, I will say when I'm with my sister or we're in the car, sometimes like Who Says is one of the songs that, but I was 16 and that's more of a nostalgic feeling. But no,
So tonight I'm doing kind of a medley. One of my songs is called Hands to Myself, and then the second is Me and My Girls, which is perfect for this evening. Me and My Girls wasn't going to be a single at all. It's actually on the deluxe version.
We may have evidence that he took her and replaced her with this woman. I want you to take a look at this and tell me if you see anything strange.
Kids' entertainment stuff made specifically for them, like even preschool shows, seem wildly imbalanced.
Sister, or we're in the car. Sometimes like Who Says is one of the songs that, but I was 16 and that's more of a nostalgic feeling. But no,
That was Gina Davis, and people think she replaced Selena. But how is this happening? We've learned in the files that there is technology that literally can put one soul from one body and take it into another. We have heard this is their way of reincarnating, which is why many of these celebrities and politicians, you will see them look real similar throughout history in other bodies. Considering how different Selena not only looks, but how different she sounds, even her mannerisms, people are concerned. Do we still have the real Selena, or has she been gone for a long time? What do you guys think?
I know it's not just me, but if you think that that wasn't Gina Davis, drop it in the comments. There's something going on there. And it's pretty obvious, but not obvious, if that makes sense. Let me know what you think. That wasn't weird.
I hate to be the buzzkill of your morning show today with really some dire news. And that's why I asked to come on. The fact that Donald Trump has authorized the release of all UFO-related material in possession of the United States government, or as I call it, the United States of America's cosmic Pandora's box, which this is going to be. And I just want to tell your viewers what I'll be talking about is very serious, because I think the ontological shock that is going to happen with America and the world when we start seeing not JFK era fuzzy documents, but when we start seeing high resolution video of potentially a non-human intelligent craft and beings of whatever species that they may have on film being shown to the American, to the world, is going to cause a shock to our entire system, much to the like of 9/11.
So, okay. And moving right along. Then we have Obama. Obama says, former U.S. President Barack Obama says aliens are real. What I tell you they would start to really come out and say before the rapture of the church? I said they'll come out and start saying aliens are real. Aliens, aliens, aliens. And I said there'll be a false flag event. Some kind of event that will shock and awe the world. I saw, remember, something over the Vatican. Something over the Mayan temples. And it had lightning. And all this light coming off of it. And it looked like a massive ship. And all of a sudden, these little bitty space-looking things came out of the mothership and started shooting around the United States like the speed of light. And it looked the size of a car. And it was flying, and it freaked everybody out. And I saw an interview of a demonic figure on TV that looked like a log creature off of the movie Guardians of the Galaxy, I believe is what it is. And he was talking to the interview person. Great deceptions. Now that sounds way out there. And it was way out there for me to see it in great detail. Because I thought, surely this is not real. Lord, I test the spirits. I pray over things. I go over it. And folks, I'm human. I can miss it. I'm not here to sit here and say, well, Brandon, boy, you get everything. I'm human. I do the best I can. But I'm telling you, what I saw in 2014 is manifesting on the screen, and they're talking about it all the time now. Whenever it was not a major subject to talk about. Even Elon Musk saying jokingly, I'm part alien. Things being said like that. And I'm like, who says that? Jokingly or not, it's not something, I mean, maybe, he's the world, he don't get it, but.
And this will be a great timestamp just in case that event actually does happen. The only reason I'm putting any weight on what he's saying is because of his premonition about the assassination on Trump being shot through the ear. And he said that way before it happened. So, well, you guys, that's another one in the books, man. I appreciate you guys for always stopping by, watching, and learning with me. If you haven't already, do make sure to smash that like button for me. Hit the hype button. Hit the subscribe button if you're not a part of the iTrack fam. And I will definitely catch you on the next one.